Club. Evan Jefferson, brother, much love. Educating, elevating, because in knowledge is the power and we'll never give it up. Literature's for the masses. Where to put your money down, now how to watch your assets. Yeah, uplifting others is a passion. My brother Evan, he will turn it into action. New Black Wall Street Book Club. You should come read with us. Yeah, we comprehend and discuss. If we all just come together, there's no limit for us. Here comes your host, New Black Wall Street. Evan, take it away. New Black Wall Street Book Club.
Hey, Grand Rising to you, billionaires, the kings and queens. Thanks so much for joining us here today on the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. And you put in a book, we absolutely will find it. I'm your host, ERGJ, your certified financial educator, CEO of ERGJ Enterprises, ERGJ Black Bazaar, and international best-selling author of the book, The Black Billionaires Club. It's a study of Black wealth. It's a study of the 12 richest Black people in the world today and how they built their wealth. And I just believe that if you want to be wealthy, that's a big if, by the way, but if you do, I recommend that you study wealthy people. Well, you can find that book by simply going to the website www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. You'll find that link in the description above or below. Billionaires, we're continuing along into our journey into what makes a great great. We got two books we'll be going into. We're going to first start with our daily devotional. Give us a quote and also an affirmation of the day. And this book is from Mr. Dennis Kimbro, Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbro. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbro. And today is July 23rd, and I'm still here. Thank God he's given me another opportunity to make a difference in your life. Grand Rising to you, Vivian. Thanks so much for joining us here on Facebook and also YouTube Live. And if you are here joining us live, go ahead and say hello and let us know what city, what state you're connecting from, what city, state you're connecting from. Today's passage, Can't Touch This. Today's passage, Can't Touch This, is the title. And here is our quote of the day. It comes from Betty Shabazz, the educator and widow of Malcolm X. She says this: wake up. The hour has come to be more responsible. Change this world by starting with yourself. The world is not going to change until you change. Wake up. The hour has come to be more responsible. I'm going to tell you, right off the bat, this is just hitting me slap upside the head. You know, the hour has come to be more responsible. I don't even know if we need to even go further in our discussion here today. I mean, how many of us will be honest and say, you know what, the hour has come for me to be more responsible? Matter of fact, just for myself, I was just thinking about this more. If I came on and some stuff happened this morning, I'm like, man, you know, it's just this mental game that we play, and it's like, man, I got to get up, get out, and get something. The hour has come to be more responsible. And I consider myself to be a pretty responsible guy, but it's time to be even more responsible. Change this world by starting with yourself. The world is not going to change until you change. So if you want your world to change, if I want my world to change, then it's incumbent upon me to change. And then guess what? As I change, the world, my world changes. Here's our passage of the day. Let's read. I receive many letters from men and women across the nation who say they want to be successful but don't know how. They've tried following all sorts of involved principles, yet they only need one. The following story provided a clue. There's an African ritual that is used as a rite of passage for males bridging from youth to adulthood. The young boys of the village are instructed to find the most valuable thing in the world and to return to show it to the elders. One young enthusiast raced for a snow-capped mountains of Mount Kilimanjaro, which fascinated him immensely. He climbed higher and higher up through the hinterland to experience the feel of snow for the first time. There, among the clouds and frozen turf, he plunged his hand into the stinging coldness and clutched a handful of snow in its marvelous purity. With his hand held tightly closed, he raced back to the village. The villagers were assembled as the elders inspected the eye-catching treasures the other youths had discovered. Jewels, silks, and various wonders of nature. Suddenly, the young boy broke into their midst. "What have you brought us?" they asked excitedly. "See," he cried triumphantly as he opened his hand, but his hand was empty. The villagers saw nothing. Only the young boy knew the meaning of what had happened. "The most valuable thing in the world," he said, "cannot be held by the human hand. It's an idea." The most valuable thing in the world cannot be held by a human hand. The most valuable thing in the world is an idea. Everybody put in the console idea. The most valuable thing in the world is an idea. Let me ask you guys this. How did you feel the last time you were sparked with a new idea? And not only how did you feel about the idea, how did it feel when you actually started to work or to execute or to manifest that idea? To make that idea turn from what it was in your head into what it is in the tangible world. How did that feel? It's something about having and also executing a new idea. Matter of fact, I got a new idea for some new sprays, and I'm like, man, this is a great idea, and I'm gonna work on it and manifest it and make it become reality for some new fragrances. I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. How many of you are sparked? You feel some sense of meaning when you have new ideas. On the other hand, how does it feel when ideas aren't flowing in your life? When it seems like, this is the same thing I did yesterday. No, there's no newness, no freshness that's coming into your psyche. The most valuable thing in the world is an idea. Here's our affirmation of the day. Here's what you're allowed to take root into your subconscious, how you into your heart, and then you grow and cultivate it by repeating it over and over and over again. Repeat after me. Today, I will begin to list all my ideas and set a timetable for putting at least one into action. Today, I will begin to list all my ideas and set a timetable for putting at least one into action. Now, what this says, billionaires, kings, and queens, is that even after I list them, now I have to say, okay, this one specific one, I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to get this one done. I'm going to complete this, or we're going to get this thing started by when? Setting a timetable for putting at least one into action. Let's do it one more time, people, for the people in the back, for the people in the way back. Repeat after me. And this time, say it with some conviction. Today, I will begin to list all my ideas and set a timetable for putting at least one into action. Can't touch this. July 23rd, our daily devotion out of Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbro. Daily Motivations for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbro. Now we're going to get into the meat of our discussion today as we are moving into another book by Mr. Dennis Kimbro, What Makes the Great Great. What Makes the Great Great? And we are into lesson 4.4, I guess you can say, as we're talking about this greatest asset, which is integrity. And we're going through the section called What Do You Value Most? Now, this is actually something to do. And so we're talking about the list right now, the list of our ideas, which I'm going to do. Matter of fact, BBC, we're going to actually do this tonight. We're going to go through and start to list our ideas. Now it's a list in determining what you value most. And I'm going to do this for myself today, but we'll go through it right now so you kind of get an idea of what is in this book as well. What do you value most? Now, if we have time, we'll go through another section as well. We'll see how much we can get through in 30 minutes. What do you value most? Let's read. Perhaps now is a good time to ask, where do you stand? What lies at the center of your life? What do you value most? What are your highest values? These questions and their answers play an important role in your personal development. All of us maintain some type of value system that is uniquely our own. As we seek to further understand our behavior and motivation, it is of great importance to clarify our values. Values may be defined as the standards of desirability by which the individual chooses between alternative behaviors. Values have been defined as something regarded as desirable, worthy, or right. Values are not attitudes, but are standards by which attitudes are formed. Values are not behavior traits, nor are they needs. A need is a lack of something desirable, but a value is highly regarded. Research has indicated 20 basic values that are important in varying degrees throughout society. Those who know their values and live by them make their mark on the world. In any serious study of achievement, the merit of such values becomes obvious. These values are proven, enduring guidelines for human conduct. All values govern personal effectiveness. People may argue about how they are to be defined, interpreted, and applied in real life situations, but they generally agree about their intrinsic worth. Values surface time and again, and the degree to which we recognize and live in harmony with them moves us towards success and survival. To make sure your philosophy of personal achievement is firmly grounded, it's important to have an inviolable set of ethical standards. Such firm guidelines not only provide the ethical framework within which you live your life, but also help to make you make difficult decisions. A behavior either needs your standards or it doesn't. Below are society's most commonly cited values as defined by W. Clement and Jesse V. Stone Foundation. Here are some lists. Achievement. Achievement is to accomplish, win, or attain, or do successfully. That's a value. Another value. Compassion. Pity with the desire to help. Another value. Courage. A quality of spirit that enables one to face danger. Another value. Creativity. Having the power or ability to create, to cause to come to existence. Another value. Faith. Belief without need or certain proof, confidence in or dependence on a person or thing as trustworthy. Another value. Health. Freedom from defect or disease. Another value. Honesty. Fairness or straightforwardness of conduct. Integrity. Uprightness of character. Another value. Justice. The quality of being impartial or fair. Righteousness, conformity to truth, fact, or reason. Another value. Knowledge. A result or product of knowing, information, or understanding acquired through experience, learning, erudition. Another value. Loyalty. Fidelity, allegiance, the state, quality, or fact of being loyal. Another value. Morality. Virtuous conduct, a system of principles of right and wrong conduct, a code of ethics. Another value. Physical appearance. Concern for the beauty of one's own body. Another value. Pleasure. An agreeable or delightful sensation. Enjoyment, one's preference or choice. Another value. Power. Ability to act, capability, potential capacity, possession of control, authority, or influence over others. Another value, recognition. Acknowledgement of a fact or claim made to feel significant and important. Another value, responsibility. The state of being accountable, answerable legally or morally for the discharge of a duty, trust, or debt. Another value, self-discipline. To train to obedience or subjection, a system or rules or method of practice. Another value, wealth, affluence, abundance of valuable material possessions or resources. Another value, wisdom, knowledge, learning, practical judgment, insight, common sense. Another value, work, continued exertion directed to some end, labor, toil, a feat or deed. And I believe this is 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Yeah, that's 20 values defined by the W. Clement Stone. If you don't know who W. Clement Stone is, you definitely want to look up him. He was one of the wealthiest people in America. And he's saying, hey, here are 20 values. And he's saying, hey, go through and list by importance which values are most important to you, right? Which values are most important? And I've seen some that just stuck out. So I'm going to go through and do this for myself. So what do you stand for? What do you believe is an unchanging principle or unchanging principles? What are the things that you will do or will not do in pursuit of your goals? Goal attainment begins by defining your core values. Your basic values, in turn, become the foundation upon which you can build and define your life. Your choice of the values that you will live by is one of the most important things that you will ever undertake. Now, I don't know about you, billionaires, but man, I'm thinking to myself, W. Clement Stone put this thing together. I don't know when it was, probably early 50s or something like that. And it's been part of the W. Clement Stone Foundation. And I'm just saying to myself, where was this as far as character building, as far as development is concerned, for me when I was growing up, when I was in elementary, middle school, or high school, to go through, developing the person, using school as an example versus just teaching me some type of curriculum. Man, how valuable would it be to go through something like this to define your value system before you head off to college or something like that? I'm thinking I'm gonna put something together to do that, because I'm a big believer. Like, don't just say what if and what could be and all that good stuff. But no, let's put something together where we can reach out and go through this. What do you value most? A value system for our youth. I think that'll be a good thing. I'll work on that. So a value once chosen is carved in stone. You cannot practice a value only when it's convenient. When you choose and commit yourself to a value, you are making a firm decision to live by that value without compromise. No matter the circumstances, no matter the temptations, once you've selected your core values, usually 3 or 4, you can then organize the remainder in order of importance from the most important to the least important. Think of examples where you have been able to put these values into practice. Not only are your values important, but so is their order. Each higher order value will take precedence over any lower order value. For example, if your 3 basic values in order are wealth, responsibility, and self-discipline, then you will sacrifice responsibility and self-discipline to wealth. And you would sacrifice self-discipline to wealth and responsibility. In my research, I've discovered that high-achieving men and women succeed in part because they've established clearly articulated values. Many have selected honesty and morality as the basic operating values to govern their personal and business lives. Let me read these values again. And again, I'm gonna do my homework today the 20 values and rank them of most important to least important for me in order. So we have achievement, compassion, courage. What's going on, Mr. Daniels? Creativity, faith, health, honesty, justice, knowledge, loyalty, morality, physical appearance, pleasure, power, recognition, responsibility, self-discipline, wealth, wisdom, and work. What values are most important to you? So it's a list of 20, and I would, say to you, listen to this recording again and get those, and maybe make your own list of these values. Again, W. Clement Stone, one of the richest people ever in American history, went through this. He worked with Napoleon Hill, by the way, and obviously Dr. Dennis Kimbro, to really try to help people with personal development, which is the reason why we're reading this book. And I find this very fascinating, asking, what do you value most? Out of those, for those that are watching us live here today, in the comments below, of those values that we just mentioned, over 20 of them, which one do you value most? Might want to put that in the comments below or put it into your notes. What do you value most? I would venture to say, for me, I would say wisdom is probably what I value the most out of these. And it's kind of hard because, I mean, essentially you want to say I value them all, right? But the reality is some of them take precedence or take priority over others for you. And you can tell also what you really value by the fruits that you get in your life. Because I value wisdom, this is why I'm running a book club. I value wisdom, and I'd imagine that you kind of value wisdom as well, or self-development, or self-responsibility of some sort, because you're here tuning in. And for those that might listen, you value something that comes out of this. So it shows kind of your actions. You can't say, like, for example, you can't say, well, I value my health, right? But then you never work out and you always eat bad. Like that doesn't, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to be honest with yourself. And I say that a lot to people. I say at some point in your life, you realize I got to be honest with myself, and really look at, okay, well, if you say you value this, does it really show in your life, or is it just lip service? So that's my homework for myself, and I recommend that you do the same. So you can really take a listen and say, yeah, this is really what I value most. Next section, our problems are not insurmountable. We got time to do this one last section, then we'll wrap it up there. Our problems are not insurmountable. There are many problems facing Black America. Teenage pregnancies, a soaring divorce rate, a declining number of college students, a growing number of Black males within the penal system, chronic unemployment, an expanding underclass, and yes, the residual effects of racism. Moreover, within one generation, the social fabric of the Black family unit, which has survived Middle Passage, slavery, Reconstruction, Jim Crow laws, and segregation, has ventured precariously close to dissemination. Far too many of our children grow up in a world torn by violence, destroyed by poverty, decimated by despair, and devastated by insensitivity. Many social programs have answered the call for more government involvement. Typically, both political parties have spent enormous energy blaming each other and pointing their collective fingers at a host of external factors. But the underlying cause of the ills facing Black America have nothing to do with external factors. The root cause and solution can be found in the heart and soul of Black America itself. A nation of children without fathers is not going to outcompete Japan or Western Europe. A nation unable to distinguish between right and wrong won't raise our standard of living. A nation of moral misfits, which will eventually become a nation of economic misfits. If we possess a hefty purse and a lean heart, broad estates and a narrow understanding, what will we gain? What a dreadful sight to see. An old man who has spent his entire life getting instead of growing. The spiritual and material riches of a people. The spiritual and moral well-being of a people is forever linked to the spiritual and material riches of a people. Clearly. What is needed at this hour is the one quality that is greater than wealth. The one trait that would make anyone rich beyond his or her means. The one virtue that is above all others. Try as we might to stifle the voice of the mysterious angel within, she always says yes to right actions and no to wrong ones. The power of character lies within the soul of its people. Oh Lord, where my highlight at? The power of character lies within the soul of its people. Truth strikes a common chord that can be felt throughout the universe. A book or a work of art puts us in the mood or train of thought to the person who produced it. Is Billie Holiday dead? Ask the thousands of struggling young artists who sing her songs and mimic her style in jazz clubs the world over. Colin Powell read of the Buffalo Soldiers who only once before their story inspired his entire life. John Rogers, the black financial whiz kid of the 1980s, was inspired to his glory by the success of his idol, John H. Johnson. Mae Jemison was about to complete high school when she caught wind of the exploits of Benjamin Banneker. And from that day forward, she was branded with ambition. During the darkest period of slavery, Nat Turner. His name was a watchword of the Deep South, while the conscience of many a slave echoed the words of Washington and Jefferson and Lincoln. Subconsciously, each slave spoke Turner, thought Turner, and prayed Turner. What heart and soul doesn't enshrine the power of character? What heart and soul doesn't enshrine the power of character? This is the wonderful, beautiful thing about book reading, is that you can lean on the shoulders of giants. One of the main reasons why I wrote the book that I wrote is I realized, man, for people just to get a glimpse and a hold of some of these individuals, it could inspire them. It could move them with ambition. It could take them from where they are, or help to take them from where they are to where they ultimately will be, which is something great. Just to be inspired by the stories of others. Our problems are not insurmountable. Everybody went down, so I can solve my problems. It's important for you to understand that yes, you're going to always have some. You might always in your life have some type of problem that's going on. But the beautiful, wonderful thing is that you can actually solve your own problems. You can find a solution by asking, seeking, and knocking, and receiving. I think one of the biggest things, though, is that people see these problems in their life, and I think in their subconscious mind, they know that they can solve them, but having the courage to actually execute or work on the solution, I think it's a bit of laziness. It's a bit of fear, a bit of laziness, and maybe some other things as well that stops people from actually going through the motions, taking action to solve the problems that they see in their life. Like, I have a problem that's coming up. I see it coming, and I'm like, man, I got to do something about this. I mean, because I don't want the problem to get bigger. I don't want it to exacerbate. I don't want it to grow larger than it needs to be. I mean, it's a small, teeny, small type of problem right now. But if I don't do something, if I don't go ahead and start solving the small little crack, it becomes a wide dam in my life. You can solve your own problems. It really requires going to work. It requires some labor, some effort. I mean, if you got a money problem, for example, you can solve that money problem. It's called going to work. And I mean, so just to sit and look at everybody else working and you not working is not going to help you solve that money problem that you might have. Now, there's all different types of work, by the way. That always have to require hard labor, so to speak. But it does require some effort. It does require some energy. It does require putting your effort out. The good book tells us that in all labor there is profit. But what we find is that most people are not laboring or working or putting in the effort. Well, that be that I don't know, you can do a whole bunch of stuff. I mean, so many different things that we would consider work. But you know what most people are doing? Many people are exchanging work for play, and they play all day, they work very little, and then they look at their paycheck or they look at their income, and they be like, well, wait a second, something ain't right. Well, yeah, something ain't right. You didn't realize that it didn't say in all play that there is a profit. It says in all labor there is profit. So you've been working hard playing instead of working hard, working. Could that be the solution to that income problem that you might have? How hard are you willing to work on your idea? How hard are you willing to work on your ideas? He knows the answer. We'll do this one last section. We're having a good time this morning. I want to keep going. He knows the answers. John Thompson knows that's the secret of his success. Even as he strides along the sidelines of a Georgetown University basketball game with his trademark white towel draped over his right shoulder, his 6'10" frame dwarfing players and fans, Coach Thompson is always in the game, challenging an official, benching a player, or encouraging and hugging another. He knows what he wants and uses a deep sense of values to guide his life. Told that he couldn't make it in grade school, Thompson earned a degree in economics from Providence College before occupying a seat on the board of Nike. A black man from a poor neighborhood in segregated Washington, D.C., Thompson had one huge asset: his family. Though illiterate, his father woke up each morning at 5 to earn what he could. Despite her education, the only work Thompson's mother could find was house cleaning. Determined to give their son a better start in life, John's parents sent him to Catholic school. But hampered by poor vision that made it difficult for him to read, he fell behind. By the 5th grade, the frustrated nuns had decided that Thompson was a slow learner and asked him not to come back. Wow. His parents were not about to let someone else write off their son. A determined public school teacher got him glasses and made sure John caught up. His mother inspired him to meet his challenges head on and find a way to win. She gave him the following poem: "You can do anything you think you can. It's all in the way you view it. It's all in the start you make, young man. You must feel that you're going to do it. You can have anything you want, or you can do anything you can. It's all in the way you view it. It's all in the start you make, young man. You must feel that you're going to do it." What's going on, Brenda? The book we're reading, going through, is What Makes the Great Great? What Makes the Great Great by Mr. Dennis P. Kimbro. That's a wonderful poem for a mother to give her son, by the way. You can do anything you think you can. It's all in the way you view it. It's all in the start you make, young man. You must feel that you're going to do it. In 1980, every major college coach in America had his eye on one skinny 7-foot Jamaican-born center. With his electrifying play, coach after coach offered Patrick Ewing every inducement under the sun, but not Thompson. Instead of brandishing titles, money, or special perks, he allowed his mother's character to direct his actions. He told the high school senior, "Education is about change. If you have the potential, it is my job to make you reach that potential." Ewing rose to the challenge with his coach's help. The basketball superstar now lectures others on the responsibility of reaching one's full potential through discipline and hard work in sports, business, or life. But the high-profile motivator is clearly at his best when coping with defeat. Anyone can rack up a win or two, but only the greatest can turn a devastating loss into an even greater victory. Anyone can rack up a win or two, but only the greatest can turn a devastating loss into an even greater victory. Yeah, I like that too, Brenda. Education is about change. Wow. For example, in 1983, Georgetown was clearly one of the best teams in the country. Ewing, later to be perennial all-star of the New York Knicks, was already being compared to basketball immortals. Thompson put everything he had into the Georgetown Hoyas, who cruised through the early rounds of the NCAA tournament, playing the best basketball their coach had ever seen. The final game pitted Georgetown against the North Carolina University Tar Heels. Carolina had an awesome team featuring two future NBA Hall of Famers, Michael Jordan and James Worthy. The lead changed hands several times in the final minutes until, with only 17 seconds in the game, Jordan hit a jump shot that gave Carolina a 63-62 lead. Now the game, the season, and the championship were in the hands of Georgetown playmaking guard Fred Brown. In heat of the moment, Brown made a terrible mistake. He inadvertently threw the ball to his opponent Worthy, giving North Carolina the crown. As millions watched in disbelief on television, all eyes turned to the crestfallen player and his coach. Some fans were incensed. Others were beside themselves. Jeers and taunts came from the stands. How could a player make such a mistake? People wondered. In the biggest game of the season, instead of throwing a tantrum as most Georgetown faithfuls wanted him to do, Thompson was forced to answer to a higher calling by displaying the one virtue that directs his soul. He wiped his brow, walked slowly over to the young man and hugged him. The gesture changed Brown's life. I was really down on myself, Brown told a reporter weeks later. Coach Thompson's actions made me realize that it wasn't the end of the world. Thanks to him, I'll never be the same. Still, the defeat was a terrible blow for Thompson, who wants to win, but won't allow himself to be fooled by one triumph or disaster. The next season, 1984, was Ewing's last. For the third time in 4 years, Georgetown made it to the NCAA Finals, and this time they won easily, beating future All-Star Hakeem Olajuwon's Houston Cougars, 84-75. As the final seconds ticked off, Thompson remembered that what had transpired a year before. In the waning moments, he walked over to Fred Brown and hugged him again. "We've got it, baby," the coach exclaimed. "Never give in or give up." The championship that eluded Thompson's grasp the previous year had been secured. Who is the greatest among you? Is it the man or woman who liberates you from your surroundings? Who unlocks the floodgates of your possibilities? Who, through character and tone, raises your consciousness and helps you to see circumstances in a broader light? These individuals of integrity are the conscience of a society. Small things become great when a great soul sees them. Oh, wow. Small things become great when a great soul sees them. Small things become great when a great soul sees them. Thank God for those men and women who would rather be right than rich. Thank God for the men and women who would rather be right than rich. Well, kings and queens, would you rather be right over rich? See, righteousness is another word to say it. The liking or the kind of being right over rich. See, some people do anything for money. Some people lie, steal, cheat for money. But not you. You'd rather be right than rich. Man, what about this story here, guys? Talking about Coach Thompson, the legendary coach of Georgetown, as he's coaching, Patrick Ewing and the Georgetown Hoyas. A lot of us are maybe sports fanatics, so we can kind of we either remember this time, or we really are grasping this in our imagination about what that looks like to go from defeat to then the next year going to victory. All about how he handled defeat. Only the greatest can turn a devastating loss into an even greater victory. He knows the answer. This is the New Black Wall Street Book Club, where Black folk do read. You put in a book, we absolutely will find it. Guys, we've gone through Daily Affirmation for African American Success by Mr. Dennis Kimbro. Also, What Makes the Great Great by Mr. Dennis Kimbro as well. And we'll continue along both of these books. The affirmation thing will keep going, but once we get close to finishing up What Makes the Great Great, we'll select another book for our book club. Of course, I am your host, ERGJ, and we invite you to not only just be a part of our book club here that we might do here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Instagram Live, our podcast, but we also invite you to join the Black Billionaires Club, where you can get even more. That's right. There we do have personal development, business development, financial literacy class, and also investment education. Matter of fact, tonight we're going to be actually kind of going through this listing and going deeper into this so we can get the most out of it for ourselves. So you want to be part of our deep dive, then we invite you to join the Black Billionaires Club. You can simply go to the website and check us out. We do have the book there. We do have access to the club there. You go there by simply going to www.theblackbillionairesclub.com, www.theblackbillionairesclub.com. Join the club today. We also ask that you would subscribe and support to this podcast with a small monthly donation. This podcast is across all different platforms, from Spotify to Apple to Google. It's the New Black Wall Street or New Black Wall Street Book Club. So look for the New Black Wall Street Book Club across all different platforms, no matter which one you use. And then you can listen to this episode and previous episode, just in case you don't have the time to watch, but you still do want to listen and get some personal development, some self-improvement, some motivation to get your day going. New Black Wall Street Book Club. Well, kings and queens, I want to say thanks so much for tuning in to today's episode. And I want you to remember this, that it takes a village, and it starts with us. Let's build as we climb together. We all we got, people. Matter of fact, we all we need. And thank God that that's more than enough. Until next episode, you know what time it is. Mr. DJ, hit the music.
New black. It's the New Black Wall Street Book Club. With your host, Evan Jefferson. It's time for us
That's
to
why
go.
you're not rich.
Yeah.
Oh.
You ain't got to leave the computer.
It's coming.
But we encourage you to get out
Slow
there
and steady wins the race.
Learn and apply all the things you learn at the New Black Wall Street Book Club. Yeah. The New Black Wall Street. The New Black Wall Street.